Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Go Fast Pit Pass. My name is Wayne. I'm going to be your host for everything. A couple things to get into over the weekend. The IMSA Championship race at Petit Le Mans at Road Atlanta happened over the weekend. The number 60 Acura won the race. The championship came down between the number 31 and the number 10. Number 10 Acura and number 31 Cadillac. The number 10 Acura with about an hour left to go tried to make a move on the outside with about a 90-degree angle turn. Cars came into contact a little bit, more so a racing incident than anything. The number 10 Acura, unfortunately, took a ride straight off into the tire barrier, ended his day. Thankfully, he seems to be okay. Congratulations to the number 31 Cadillac team for being crowned the GTP champion for IMSA, and the number 60 Acura team for being the winner of the Petit Le Mans at Road Atlanta. Other things to get into, the Xfinity race. Riley Herbst won his very first race after, I believe, 4 years. Not only did he win his first race, he won his first race in his hometown of Las Vegas, and it was Stewart Haas's 100th victory. So huge congratulations to them. I truly feel this was overdue for Riley Herbst. Dude has just been very solid, especially this year. I've been rooting for the guy. I liked him in off-road, and I liked his family in off-road racing. And I like that whole background, being is that I do have some background in that sport. Other thing I wanted to touch on with the Xfinity race is John Hunter Nemechek. This guy drove that car this weekend. He clean out just from the very back of the pack out to the front to inevitably get passed by Riley Herbst, and Riley Herbst taking the victory with a 14-second lead, which is just unheard of. But huge props to John Hunter Nemechek doing what he does to really show why Legacy Motorsports is bringing him into the Cup Series next year. You know, showing that he's ready to take on that role in the Cup Series. So again, huge congratulations to Riley Herbst and Stewart Haas for both their first and 100th victory, respectively. On to the Cup Series race. We have a handful of things to talk about with the Cup Series race. Excuse me. First thing being Kyle Larson. Literally almost driving the wheels off of his car. Not only did he win stage one, won stage two, but he won the race after saving himself from a potential race-ending spin that could have really harmed his championship possibilities moving forward. Essentially just got loose, came in, slid. Instead of turning the wheel and overcorrecting back to the right to try to steer into the slide, he just kept the wheel straight. When he got to the end of the corner, the wall is what saved him. It caught the very tail end of that car and kind of propelled him forward to be able to drive out of that. Same thing happened to Alex Bowman a couple laps later, as we know. Unfortunately, he did turn to the right and then ended his day. Touching on that, I've seen a lot of talk on social media about essentially Alex Bowman conspiracy theories. Did Alex Bowman do this so that Kyle Larson could take the victory? Just to be clear, no professional race car driver is going to wreck their own car so that their teammate can take a victory, especially being is that each of these drivers wants to win that race. They all want it equally as bad, and Alex Bowman had a good car. I could almost understand if he didn't have a car, but really Alex Bowman, I believe, had a top 5 to top 10 car. I don't believe Kyle Larson had the best car that day. I do feel like Christopher Bell had the better car that day. Martin Truex really had a great car in long runs. It was unfortunate strategy that lost him a top 5 position in that race. Ryan Blaney, hell of a run until the disqualification came. The strut length was too short, essentially. For those of you that don't know what kind of advantage that would bring, the strut length being shorter is going to among other things, but first thing being it's going to lower the center of gravity on the car. So where that car is going to sit, essentially with a shorter strut, it's going to bring it down. Even if it's just millimeters, that's downforce. That's lowering the center of gravity in the car, being able to take a turn a little bit quicker. So unfortunate day for him. He had a good car. He finished, I believe, 6th in the race. Really unfortunate for Ryan Blaney. Moving forward, he's going to absolutely have to win at either Homestead or Martinsville Speedway coming up. Neither of those tracks is a great track for Blaney. So to look into where we look in the playoffs moving forward, obviously Kyle Larson, he's in the championship for. And mentally he's on to Phoenix. He's still going to be preparing for Homestead, and he's still going to be preparing for Martinsville, because obviously he wants to win those races. But he's going to have so much, him and his team around him is going to have so much more focus on that car in the Phoenix Raceway setup. If you look at the championships over the last 6 years, 3 out of 6 times, the championship winning car has won the very first race of the round of 8. So 50-50 shot, but it does provide that additional time for the driver to prepare for the driver and the team to prepare for Phoenix and prepare for that championship race. That's realistically the most important race of their year. Ryan Blaney, he's going to absolutely need a win going into Homestead or Martinsville. Additionally, Martin Truex, he's just missing the mark. It seems like every week now. You know, at the beginning of the year, I had it picked between Martin Truex and William Byron taking the Cup Series championship. At the very beginning of the year, I did have Ross Chastain taking the Cup Series championship. In my mind, it just seemed logical, and he had a lot of momentum in the beginning of the year, which kind of fell off a bit. However, yesterday I did have him picked to win the race. I said Kyle Larson would be the top finishing playoff driver, which he was. Obviously, winning the race, he's the top finishing driver in total. Ross Chastain, fastest car in practice, solid qualifying run, P10. And really, I think him and Trackhouse had a bone to pick with themselves and getting over this hump and getting back to a competitive place and really giving their team something to smile about after falling out of the playoffs last week at the Roval. So good for them. A solid, very, very strong run. Goes a lap down early in the race, comes all the way back and takes 5th place. The amount of times we've seen Ross Chastain go a lap down and bring himself back to a top 5 to top 10 finish. This year alone, I can count on hand 2 to 3 of them, just off the top of my head. Ross Chastain is a driver we're not going to see going anywhere anytime soon. This guy is very on point week to week, and he's got a solid team around him. I think Trackhouse, even being a young team, is going to be a successful young team. So huge day for them. Something to really give that team something to push them through the rest of the year and go into next year with a lot of motivation. Again, congratulations, huge congratulations to Kyle Larson and everybody over at Team Hendrick on their 301st win. Team Hendrick is, realistically just dominating. I said at the beginning of the year, anybody that wanted to win a championship was going to have to beat Kyle Larson to win a championship. They were going to have to beat Kyle Larson. They were going to have to beat Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin somewhat fallen off in the last couple of weeks, just really placing average, but I don't think he's been in a position where he needs those victories and he needs those top 3 finishes. I think going into Homestead and Martinsville, he's in much more of a place where he's going to need those things. Let me know what you think. Again, huge congratulations to Kyle Larson. Huge attempt by Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell, I know he said that this seems like that was his opportunity to make it to the championship 4. I don't believe that. He's got 2 other opportunities. He might not run the best at Homestead, but he does run really well at Martinsville. So I do foresee Christopher Bell as long as he can keep his motivation and keep his head in the right place, I foresee Christopher Bell moving on in the playoffs. As it stands, my playoff prediction. Well, I'll give you the current standings as it stands in the playoffs. So first we have Kyle Larson, obviously. He's got the win. He's locked into the championship four. First driver, only driver currently locked into the championship four. Then we have William Byron, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr. Now, then we have Christopher Bell, who's only 3 points behind Martin Truex Jr. So that can change at any point, especially with the way that Martin Truex Jr. has really fallen off the end of this year. In the top, in all of the playoffs, I think this might have been his best finish of the year, or of the playoffs so far. Then you have Tyler Reddick, who's still only 15 points behind the cut line. Tyler Reddick is very strong at Homestead. I truthfully think that Tyler Reddick is very strong at any track he goes to, most tracks he goes to. Tyler Reddick's a solid driver, good racer, and he seems to always be in the conversation at some point towards the end of the race. Even yesterday, Tyler Reddick, the first two stages, the first 70% of the race really, he was just fighting that car, trying to fight the setup, trying to get that car rocking and rolling, trying to finally get comfortable in his car. When he finally did, he brought himself into a top 10 finish. So I do see Tyler Reddick still with a very good chance to move forward into this championship round. Chris Buescher, I think Chris Buescher truly surprised everybody yesterday. I think Chris Buescher he qualified incredibly well, and he ran incredibly well for the majority of the day. He fell back a little bit towards the end, unfortunately, but he's still very much in it. He's 23 points behind the cut line. He can point himself in there, but the best bet for Chris Buescher is going to be to get himself in. With the likes of William Byron, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Martin Truex, and Tyler Reddick all above him in points, and him being 23 points behind, he's either going to have a lot of stage wins or a victory in general at either Homestead or Martinsville moving forward. So who knows? Chris Buescher has been a huge surprise towards the end of this year for, I feel like, everybody. He could continue to surprise us moving forward. And then we have Ryan Blaney after the disqualification. He is negative 56 points behind the cut line. Ryan Blaney is moving into a position where he needs a victory. Mathematically, he can point himself in. It's not likely. Everybody above him, all of these other 7 drivers, are going to have to do terribly. They're going to have to do really horrible, and he's going to have to do really well moving forward. And it's just not like, Denny Hamlin moving into Homestead, moving into Martinsville. He's solid at both tracks. Denny Hamlin, he's got the experience. He's solid no matter what track you put him on, essentially. William Byron, huge year for William Byron, career year for this guy. The momentum that they're carrying into the playoffs and into the championship round potentially, you're not going to point yourself above them 2 races in a row. Same thing, Martin Truex Jr. If he gets that fire back, he's still a championship contender. If he gets that fire back that he had, when he won 4 or 5 races at the beginning of the year, if he doesn't get that fire back, then Martin Truex doesn't make it to the championship 4. Currently, I don't have him in my championship 4. Obviously, I have Kyle Larson. I do have Denny Hamlin. I have Denny Hamlin winning one of the next 2 races. I have William Byron either winning one of the next 2 races or pointing himself in. I would personally love to see a non-playoff driver win at one of the next 2 races, just to kind of keep things interesting. Let 2 drivers point themselves in rather than just one driver pointing themselves in for that final position. So I do have Kyle Larson. I have William Byron. I have Denny Hamlin. And my 4th final pick would be Tyler Reddick. I think Tyler Reddick's just a solid driver. I think 2311 has done great things this year in both of their cars. Between Tyler Reddick's car and Bubba Wallace's car. Bubba Wallace has come a long way as a driver this year. It's been honestly a good time watching him mature as a professional both in the car and out of the car. Tyler Reddick as well. Every week he's in the conversation, and you can't take that kind of credibility away from somebody. He's in the conversation because he is competing, and he is competing at the top level, and he's doing very well at the top level. So my championship 4 is going Kyle Larson, William Byron, Denny Hamlin, and Tyler Reddick, unless Christopher Bell wins one of these next 2 races, or any of the other playoff drivers, of course. But I do see Christopher Bell as the most likely candidate if Tyler Reddick does not make it. I do see Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, and William Byron. All 3 of them I see as a complete lock into the championship 4. I think everybody else is battling for that final spot between Truex and Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell and Chris Buescher and Ryan Blaney. Unfortunately, I feel like Ryan Blaney's season's probably over. But Penske's got a lot of fight in him. Penske Racing, they were here last year, and Joe Logano did win Las Vegas last year to take him into the championship race, and that did win him the championship. However, Penske's no stranger to being behind. Penske Racing has been at it for a lot of years. They have a lot of tools at their disposal, and they have the right people at their disposal. Cannot count out Ryan Blaney as of yet by any means. So for this week, that's all for now. Short video, short week. Again, we're going to be coming live from Martinsville. I'm going to try to do the post-race review Sunday evening after the race. More than likely, it won't be until Monday till I'm back in the office. But we will be at Martinsville. Come find us. We're going to be out there interviewing fans. We have pit passes. We're right off of turn 4. We're going to have a lot of footage coming from that. We're going to be covering, obviously, remotely Homestead. We're going to have something after the race at Homestead. More to cover in the Xfinity series, obviously. And there's desert racing coming up as well. So lots of desert racing to get into. Lots of desert racing to get into. Xfinity race, still 3 more races there. Cup Series race, still 3 more races there. These next 3 races are huge for every driver, no matter what, whether you're in the playoffs or not. But these next 3 races are huge as far as carrying momentum into the next year. So it's going to be exciting to see how everything shakes out. Personally, I'd like to see Kevin Harvick get a victory, selfishly, at Martinsville, because Kevin Harvick, it's his last season. He's always been a solid guy. He's always been one of my favorite drivers. I grew up a Dale Earnhardt and a Jeff Gordon fan, and Kevin Harvick just kind of fit right into that mold with those guys. Currently, I'm a racing fan. We all have our favorite drivers. I'll let you guys guess whose mine is. But moving forward, we've got a lot to come for you. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Subscribe to the YouTube. Like the comment, or like the post, like the video. Comment down. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Let me know if I'm wrong. You guys can tell me, hey man, you're dead wrong. You're an asshole. Shut up. That's fine. Let me know down in the comments. Like, subscribe, all the following things. Check us out. We do have a website coming, and we will have a podcast coming next January. Thank you guys very much.